My name is Dan Jewell. I'm a broadcast and corporate film editor. I originally started out working in football for Liverpool Football Club's TV channel and website. I eventually became senior editor there, moved on to Bristol, where I was a cameraman, editor and director, working on a lot of studio stuff and also a lot of outside stuff for people like EDF Energy, Lakeland, a bunch of charities with the NHS, some schools. It was really, really rewarding stuff. I got fed up with the commute. I now live in Stroud and I work in Oxfordshire for Juice Moving Images. I'm their senior editor and we have a lot of clients. We do a lot of work for BMW, a lot of work for Mini Group, a lot of work for clients like Odeon and Mclaren Automotive. So it's like a lot of cars, a lot of hotels. But yeah, always on the side I've been doing shorts, documentaries, narratives, yeah, and some features as well. Back in the production company in Bristol I was working for, well, one of my colleagues who got me the job there, he was DPing some pickups on an independent feature down in Somerset. It sounded like a really cool project, and he told me they might need an editor, so I said I'd definitely be keen. He'd met the producer at a screening. They came in and we had a look at the footage, I read the script, and yeah, the rest is history. It sounded like a really cool project. Horror and comedy mixed together. There's not many of them that get made, and yeah, I was jumping at the bit, especially when they said that they needed an editor and someone to grade it. When I read the script, it was funny, it made me laugh out loud, it had good action sequences in it, it was engaging, and yeah, it had those horror elements that, you know, just kind of almost become a cliche in Britain now, but this one was really kind of fresh. So yeah, it was the script that attracted me, and then I saw the footage and I thought, you know, I could really have something here. My editing process was, well, it felt like a long one because I had no assistant and I was syncing all the rushes myself and watching all the footage, making all my own notes and yeah, doing all the technical stuff. But I asked Joe, the producer, what was his favourite stuff, and he watched all the rushes and gave me what he preferred. And then I put my own editor's cut together, what I thought worked out of what he preferred, which sped me up quite a lot because he really knew the footage well and really knew what he wanted, which helps because he wanted it done as soon as possible. We got a rough cut relatively quickly that the producer and the writer were happy with, and Joe said that the rough cut was actually really, really not so rough, which is great news. After that, it was just another few weeks, I think, until we got, maybe another 2 months, maybe, until we got to the final picture lock, where the writer, all the producers, and Joe ultimately was happy. The scenes that were hardest to edit were probably the stunt scenes, just because you have to make that stuff sell for the audience, and some of it had to be enhanced with some special effects. But Joe, being a fight coordinator, you know, did a really good job on directing the fight scenes and making all the stunts work. So I didn't have to do very much to them to get them to look good in the edit. The most satisfying moment I found in the edit was when we got a rough cut and we actually realised that, you know, there was some pickups needed, but we had 80 to 90% of a really engaging film. I think the most satisfying moment is when you start to get a rough cut and you can actually watch it and you forget about all the technical stuff that you're thinking about when you're an editor, and you just lose yourself in the story and you start laughing and forgetting that you're actually editing it and you start watching it. And that's what you want, really. You want to forget about all the other stuff and just start enjoying the story, and that's when you know you've got film. That's when you know you've got something that people are actually going to want to watch. Colour grading the film was a challenge, as I'm not a professional colourist, but I've always been an editor interested in colour grading, and I really trained quite hard to get myself to a level where I felt I could be quick enough and I had the skills and the knowledge, and I made sure I had all the kit ready, and yeah, I really gave Joe a few options and we chose fairly quickly the look of the film, and it didn't take us that long to get there. Working with Joe was really easy. Joe's relentless, he never stops. He never really pressures or pushes too hard either. He just gives me everything I need. All of his notes were really spot on, I agreed with them. We had similar tastes. One of the reasons I think I probably got the job was we were on a kind of similar wavelength, which I think is really important. And we didn't actually spend that much time together in the same room, but we managed to get cuts that we were both happy with pretty quickly, and the writer also really added some nice feedback, which just meant that sped the whole process up. It made it much more fun and fast, mainly. My favourite scene is probably where, you know, they step on the landmine and it blows up, just because I love the explosion. I love the stunts in that scene, and I think it works really well, and it's quite a you know, it's quite a landmark in the film. You know, it's a punctuation in the film. My favourite character, I quite like Tommy Lockhart Ogilvy. I think he was recently in Gangs of London, and I think he was really good in this role, playing the kind of, I suppose he's a kind of villain. You kind of want to hate him, but he's, you know, quite funny at the same time, and has a few freakouts which are quite amusing. He adds some good comedy. If I had a second chance to edit the film, I probably wouldn't change very much. I think the edit is, you know, what Joe wanted. I mean, we played around with the ending quite a lot, and there was some back and forth, I think, between Joe and the writer. But, you know, I think in the end we probably made the right decision, because we had several options about which way we could go with it. It's always nice to keep people guessing with the ending, or, you know, a climax of a film. But no, I think the edit, I wouldn't change it very much at all. But, you know, there's some things with the colour grade I probably would have tweaked if we'd had more time. When you make a video, any sort of video really, whether it be a corporate thing or you know, a documentary or a feature film, you always want to do more. And they always say that you never finish, you just run out of time. And if, you know, budgets were infinite, you probably go on it for years, but, you know, the budget is the budget. You have to get what you can get done in the time, and yeah, I think it came out really well. It might have tweaked a few things with the grade, but we got the edit where we wanted it within the time. There wasn't much more I'd want to do with the edit, to be honest. I've worked with a lot of producers, and working with Joe's just been great. I mean, he's really, really hard-working. He never stops. He's a force of nature, which is what you want from a producer. You want someone to make your life easier and collaborate with you and help you, and not just kind of go, you know, here's the footage, run with it, see what you can do. You want someone who's going to be constantly giving you feedback, constantly pushing you in different directions, constantly giving you ideas that you haven't thought of, and you want someone who's easy to deal with and nice to be around. And Joe was not just really hard-working, he's a really nice guy, which helps a lot when you're sitting in the editing room. And you know, actually me and Joe didn't sit together a huge amount because I think we're just on the same wavelength, and we're working remotely because he lives in Somerset, I live in Stroud, about an hour north of Bristol. So you know, we only had a few sessions where we sat together, mostly during the grade, because he, you know, his notes were always really clear. I always agreed with his notes. There was never any kind of arguments in Edit Suite. It just worked. The workflow was really easy and fun, and, you know, I think that's why we got such a good product out of it. Next for me, I'm shooting a music video at the weekend with a Bristol reggae artist. That'll be quite cool. We're going to get a lot of local people involved. Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to that. And I'll probably thinking about shooting and editing, producing some sort of documentary. That's one of my passions. You know, basically once we've got the music video all in the can and edited and delivered to the client, it'll probably be a documentary. Possibly something to do with lockdown, or it may even just be, I'm thinking about doing it on the music artist of the music video, so we'll see. I'm always looking for my next feature as well, so trying to meet some new directors.